it was fantastic. I mean, Bonnie Deers is the real deal. Like, already, she was super impressive in that tournament. She was super impressive in her first season with the Flames last year. But the person that really blew me away was Manny Poch.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
Okay, 7:15. Welcome to Shooting the Breeze, and it's another collab with WNBL Pulse. Simon Peters joining me, Paul Camillos, on the show. Simon, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah, good.
Little bit chilly, a little bit frozen because lovely Canberra. We've kind of had a proper winter this year, which we haven't had in a couple of years. The winters have been quite mild over about, I reckon, the last 5 years, and then this is an old school winter. All us old Canberrans are going, oh, this is what it used to be like. But,
is this one of those winters where you leave damp laundry out overnight and you can break the sleeves off a shirt in the morning?
You can, yes. Yep. A couple of -7s and -8s, and
all right.
Yeah, it can get quite nasty. But we've got good heater. It's all good.
Oh, good. Yep. All right, so there's been a lot going on since we last spoke.
It sure has.
I think we can sort of kick off with what's been happening with the national teams over the last, couple of months. We've had some really great performances. Obviously, the big one, and let's just start off with this one. The big one was the Opals bringing back gold from the Women's Asia Cup.
Yeah, very, very good.
Yep.
Very, very good.
They broke the bronze ceiling.
Yeah, I did not realise that we have never won gold at Asia Cup. I just assumed that we must have sometime in the past. But that was a great monkey to get off our back, so to speak, just to finally get that gold at Asia Cup. That's really amazing.
Yeah, and the really big piece of news obviously is punching our ticket to the World Cup.
Yep, never in doubt.
I know, never in doubt that we were going, but I mean, getting it out of the way so early on in the piece was just amazing.
Yeah, yep.
Now the Opals can sit down and really focus on working out the team chemistry, working through, practice wherever possible, being able to get the team to work through the various adjustments that they want to start working on. And I'm sure that, Sandy's got a lot of information that she's going to be taking away from that tournament and studying it to really try and understand. Because, like, we had her on the pod a while back and she was talking about wanting to move to a faster game, to a more positionless style of basketball. And you could see how that was starting to come into play. And that Opal defense.
Yeah. It's back, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really good. And just great to see, seeing the rise of some new stars. Like Alex Fowler was just fantastic.
She was.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of known for a while now that she's been good. It still hurts my Capitals' heart to know that she's not with us anymore. But she was fantastic. All at that elite level, that international level, she did not look out of place at all, and had a brilliant tournament.
Yeah, and the one that surprised me was, well, it didn't surprise me, but Steph Reid, if you think about it, this was her first big hit out with the Opals in a major international tournament.
Yeah. Yep.
And bang, All-Star 5, and she really, really stamped her authority on that position.
Yeah, no, she was very impressive, and we know she's been on that fringe for quite a while now, but she really laid claim to perhaps a permanent spot in the team. It's the only thing that worries me about Steph is her height. There were a couple of times in the tournament where you saw bigger players just shoot over the top of her.
Yeah.
But I think she brings, and people always talk about it, but I think she brings so much extra in the way of smarts, in the way of her passing, her just determination, and her she's ravenous out there at times. Just and you can't teach people that. That's something you've either got to or you don't. And it's I saw a couple of times, saw a couple of examples of it, and a few people talking about it, but I really don't think it's the sort of thing where you go, well, we're not going to take her at the next level because of the height. She's just really solidified her spot, I think, at that absolute top tier. Certainly, WNBL for sure. Top 3 guard in the country. But a really impressive tournament for her.
Yeah, and someone else who really, I don't think was given enough credit early on, in the couple of games that she played before the final, was Ali Wilson. She sat out most of the group phase, I think all the group phase. And when she came in, we know she's a good player, but then in that grand final game, she stepped up and she made it count. Really, when we needed it against Japan, there were a few times she just came out and dug deep and bang. Particularly when Japan was really sort of starting to close the gap again, she just went for it, and let's be honest, it paid off.
Yeah. No, she was very impressive, and a lot of people talked about her offense, but I was more impressed by her defense and her ability to pressure those guards and not give them the kind of freedom they'd had in some other games.
Yeah.
Because the Japanese guards are tough. They're very, very hard to contain, and they're just so quick and they're ready to shoot like as soon as they've got it.
Yep.
It's just that Asian style where you just catch it, bang, let it go.
Yeah.
And she was able to really, if it wasn't a steal or a block per se, but she was able to change shots and to make them think twice about what they were going to do. Really, really valuable in that respect.
Yeah, really kind of put them off their rhythm a little bit.
Yep. Had a real chaos kind of feel to it.
Yeah. And, I think a lot of it for Ali and also Milisoa has come from that 3x3 experience. It was a much more free-flowing style of play that both of them had. It was, you could see the hints of the 3x3 that's come out, from them being such integral parts of the Gangurrus.
Yeah. Yep. And it's definitely a different style of game, and different players have got better strengths for 3-on-3 than they do for 5-on-5, but they're all still playing basketball and they're still useful. You can bring in someone like Ali and you just know that she's instant, both offense and defense, instant impact off the bench straight away.
Yeah.
And she really, I think, it's one of her big step ups, certainly in the 5-on-5 game. We know she's been at that elite 3-on-3 level for a while, but to see her really step up in the 5-on-5 was great as well.
Yeah, we had Gangurrus assistant coach Hannah Lowe on a little while back, and one of the things that she mentioned was that, the differences between the 5-on-5 game and 3x3 starting to shrink a little bit, but also the dynamic style of play that gets brought from the 3x3 players into the 5-on-5 game is really helping to step up, particularly, like for the Opals, is really starting to step up some really new opportunities in the way they play, the team plays the game. And, again, I think also the ability with that, as Coach Gangurrus said to us before the Asia Cup, the 2 games that they had, practice games before the tournament, helped to build that chemistry. So I'm also wondering how much they kind of tried to see if they could integrate some of that free-flowing style of play into the Opals arsenal.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and whilst the focus would have been on getting the straight ticket straight into the World Cup, there definitely would have been, kind of knowing Gori, there would have been a little bit of fiddling around the edges and see what we can get away with here and see if this works and if that works, and never at the cost of kind of winning, which they were able to achieve, but. You could definitely see a little bit of experimenting with lineups, and you never know what's really going on, whether someone's having a bad day, someone's feeling under the weather, and it's kind of funny watching some of the social media stuff and people freaking out about, what happened to Soa? She didn't get a lot of minutes in that last game, and it's like, yeah, but we don't know what's really going on there. We don't know whether she was not feeling it, or maybe when I coach, I've got this kind of if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of thing. If you've got a group on the floor that's clicking, like will always lean towards leaving them out there.
Oh, sure.
So it's you never know what's really going on. The bottom line is that pretty much everyone that got over there and got on the floor really impressed, and it just shows how much depth we've got at that level.
Yeah, that was one of the things that really, really stood out was, you look at the squad that was there and you think about, well, how many people are just on the outside of that squad as well, and the talent that they have. It's looking good in terms of pipeline into the Opals for quite some time. But I think, for me, one of the players that really stood out was Sarah Blickavs.
Oh, man. As a Caps fan, I'm very excited. Because, she's had those issues with her back.
Yep.
Her last couple of seasons in were not amazing, not the Sarah that we know. I think, I think her last strong outing was probably the World Cup in Sydney. And then that following WNBL season, you could just see she was hampered. And it was just like she just wound back the clock about 5 years and was, the old Sarah Blitzavs that we love. And, she was very, very impressive. And particularly that game, I think it was the semi-final where Kayla went off and, got double-double and 25 or whatever, and it was like the old girls were like, yep, righto, we're going to get us into this gold medal game, and they just kind of took over.
Yeah.
And it was not that you're old girls. I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but it was very, very cool. And as I said, as a Caps man, it was very exciting to see what Sarah's going to be like when she gets on the floor in the WNBL in the coming months.
Oh, for sure. And it was kind of interesting, like from our perspective, because when we went down to the Trans-Tasman Throwdown in Adelaide, Kerry Waller managed to get us a soundbite from Sarah at the pre-game presser, and it was all about what's it like for you, coming back and back in the Opals, and she was. You could tell it was really emotional for her. We played it back on the live pod that we did from Adelaide, and you could just tell it was such a big thing for her to be, to have overcome the back issues and get it fight her way back into the team, and then bang, you get that performance in China. And the gold medal as well.
That must have been scary for her, just that whole process. I mean, backs are having broken mine last year. I now understand some of the back issues that people have, but terrifying. Kind of the thought of having back surgery is just like, oh my God. Let alone for a normal person, let alone an elite athlete.
So
it's just so good, and I'm just so happy for her that she's just bounced back better than ever. So it's very excited.
Yeah, I think it's that real fairy tale story for her.
Yep.
And it's great to see, because she's obviously got more that she can contribute to not only the Opals but Australian basketball overall, and really shores up the kind of team that Canberra's put together, for the Caps for this upcoming WNBL season. Yep,
and the brains trust there at Canberra are so excited for the experience and the I guess mentorship that she's going to be able to bring to a lot of the where our core's pretty young at the Caps, and Jade's a big part of it.
Yeah,
but to have Sarah there, and we've obviously got Zatina playing with us this year as well. So she's going to be invaluable to that Caps group, and has proven that she'll still be invaluable to an Opals group. And, she keeps playing like that and has a great season in WNBL, and she's feeling good. This time next year, she'll be absolutely knocking on the door for another Opals gig and another World Cup. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you mentioned Zatina, that the way they played together when they were on the court at the same time, and I say this with heavy heart as a Sydney Flames fan, man, that was quite a combination.
Yeah. Yeah. The Caps fam, the online fam are very excited and ready for the WNBL to start tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
It's going to be good. We'll talk a bit more about that later.
Oh, yeah. Now, we've been talking about all the good stuff, but there was one thing that I got to say I was a little bit disappointed with across the Asia Cup, and that was the media coverage from the traditional media.
Yeah.
It was, look, let's be honest, right up until we were getting down to the business end of it, you could pretty much call it missing in action.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I've got to be upfront. I do not read or watch any traditional media anymore. I just don't. I don't watch Channel 10, Channel 7, Channel 9. I don't read any of the Australian newspapers. I guess I've come into that whole digital world of that's where you get your content. So I personally, I didn't notice it. I noticed all the media coverage I got through FIBA and BA and yourself and the various Australian things that I subscribe to. So I was getting it bang, 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 bang. But it doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I mean, we started getting it towards the back end, and the Guardian did a really good story on the gold medal game, but it was it was slower than I would have liked to have seen it come out. But you're right. I mean, one of the things that has come out from this event is that the traditional media is so much slower to market with content about basketball.
Yeah.
And new media, podcasts like WNBL Pulse, online sources on social media, on websites are so much faster to market now.
Yeah.
It's really where a lot of the core for basketball media is coming from.
Yeah. And I get it. We're in the middle of AFL and NRL season. You had Wimbledon on, you've got the men's cricket team in the West Indies playing over there and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's that same old thing where you're always competing for that small slice of the pie. And that's what's so great about social media and about online media and non-traditional media now is that you really can, if you can find your information sources, you can get as much information about the Opals in China as you would about, what Collingwood did at training out of a Melbourne newspaper during the week or something. So it's, disappointing to hear that, but not surprising. And I think we're just lucky that we can get the information from somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, look, props to ESPN. They did a good coverage. I mean, they had the rights to show it, so that was good. But, I'd love to see more coverage,
Yeah.
So, and on top of that, we got the 3x3 going on at the moment in Jakarta.
Yep.
And as you mentioned before, we officially started the podcast in another warm and sweaty, humid environment, which, look, and I know we've heard from a few of the 3x3 players when we've had them on the pod. It's like, it is tough, but it's bringing the game to a whole new bunch of countries and audiences that have never seen the game before, like, Mongolia.
Yeah. Well, watching the Indonesian team in the Asia Cup.
Yeah.
Just going, wow, I don't think I've ever seen Indonesia play women's basketball. And, they weren't bad.
Yeah, well,
they're not at that top tier, but they looked all right.
Yeah, we had actually just before we started, there was a game between the Gangurrus and Jakarta. The Gangurrus won the game with like 4 minutes left on the clock, and it was a big score.
Yeah,
I think it was 21-5. But the thing to take away from that isn't so much that the Gangurrus, outscored them so much. It was the fact that this is one of the few times you've sort of seen Indonesia, an Indonesian team playing in 3x3 in their home country, and they're just going to improve over time. I like the way that they're taking the game around through Asia, and the Mongolia is just a great example of that. The Mongolian team played great in Ulaanbaatar and through that competition. Yeah. And it helped bring a lot of people in to see the game too.
Yeah. No, it's good. They're doing a really good job. I think there's a massive potential in Asia in general for the women's game. and for the men's game as well. But it's good to see that FIBA's, actually reaching out to some of these smaller in terms of basketball.
Yeah.
Smaller countries. But no one could accuse Indonesia of being a small country.
I don't know. It's like they're like an emerging basketball nation. And to add more to it, right, we've also got the Gems back on the podium, silver medal.
Yep.
It was, again, it was because it was in Czechia. Some of the games were on at, let's be honest, let's just call it stupid o'clock.
Yeah, a little less friendly than the Opals games.
Regardless, the Gems got there, and it was a final against the USA.
Yep.
I think silver is nothing for that team to sneeze at against that US team. But interestingly enough, we were talking, we've got some feedback from Sam Tomlinson, who was there at the tournament.
Yep, saw her in the crowd.
Yeah. And she was saying there were more than 60 college coaches attending.
Wow.
And that also included, our previous guest, James Jansen from Davidson College.
Yep.
But also there was like Duke, UCLA, Florida, Columbia, South Carolina. So that young group, obviously they weren't just there to see the Gems, but that age group has got a lot of emerging talent. Like, we know that from seeing who was playing in the Gems.
Yeah.
And obviously the US college system, those Div 1 schools are sitting there going, there is a lot of talent to be found in this age bracket, and we really need to start looking at these tournaments a whole lot more carefully.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I've been really lucky to doing the commentary on the streaming for the COE for the last 2 or 3 years, and watched Bonnie Dees and Monique Babongi and all those guys come through, and this year watching Sataya Fagan just explode, just become this amazing player. And apparently she's got some kind of, I don't think it's an official thing, but some unofficial record for the most amount of college offers of any Australian player.
Wow.
But it was fantastic. I mean, Bonnie Dees is the real deal. Like, already she was super impressive in that tournament. She was super impressive in her first season with the Flames last year. But the person that really blew me away was Manny Poch.
Yeah.
He was amazing. Because we barely got to see her at Southside last year. She really only got on, at the end of games, and Southside didn't have a great season. So I really hadn't had a lot of experience of watching Manny play. She's great. Very, very excited for her future. Yeah.
Her ability, we've never really had an opportunity to see her ability on the court, like you said, because she just hasn't had the minutes.
No.
But, for the Gems, she got the minutes, and she really stepped up and put in performances. And I think a lot of people were probably surprised by her performances purely because we haven't seen her play so much.
Yeah, that's literally it.
And look, let's be honest, that's also helpful for the Gems because there's that much less for the opposition to be able to scout.
Yep. And I think she was really impressive. Like, I'm always a little dubious when you see big scores or even, just strong games at NBL 1 level.
Yeah.
And, you see somebody get 25 and 14 rebounds and stuff, and you go, yeah, okay, obviously they're good, but are they internationally good? Are they WNBL level good? And a lot, probably more often than not, they don't have that game at that level. But I was like, wow. Yeah, I think all I kept thinking was, man, Southside should have played her a hell of a lot more than they did last season.
Oh, yeah. But again, it's like first season of the WNBL. The WNBL is a whole different level again as well.
Yeah.
But it's good. I think the confidence that she'll get from the Gems campaign, I think will translate really well into the upcoming WNBL season.
Yeah. No, she was very impressive.
And, we can't, honestly, we can't bypass talking about Renee Garlop. I mean, what a fantastic effort coaching.
Just blessed.
Yeah.
with this same tournament 4 years ago. Same result. We got silver against the US with Kristen Veal coaching. Veely's moved on. We bring out Renee Garlop. We've had Dee Butler in that role as well, developing a lot of that age group as well. We're just so blessed with all these coaches that aren't even at the WNBL level yet. We talk about Dee and you talk about Renee.
Yeah.
But she was very, very good. Very, very happy, and took out that coach of the tournament award too, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's it says a lot. It really says a lot about the strength of basketball in Australia that we can put so many high quality teams on the floor.
Yep.
And we can put so many high quality coaches on the floor. And look, let's also not forget, you got coaches like Gorry, who's coached, who's been on coaching staff in the WNBA.
Yep.
You got coaches like Cheryl Chambers, Sandy, Christy Harrower.
Yep.
It's you just look at it. It's like when you think about it in those terms, you start going, we really do have a pretty amazing level of depth to basketball talent in Australia across the board.
Yeah. I mean, you look at, like, I don't have the spare time to watch every NBL 1 competition, but I'm fairly heavily involved with NBL 1 East. But even just in the East, the level of women's coaches across that competition alone is super impressive. And Renee coaches at that level. It's just, it's exciting. And with these new, the WNBL is already talking about expanding in the next couple of years to possibly 2 extra clubs. It's pretty exciting to know that these guys at the next level down are going to get an opportunity to step up.
Yeah, and talking about coaches at the NBL 1 level, we should talk about the NBL 1 because we're starting to get down to the business end of the competition.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to sort of hand over to you. I want to hear more about from your perspective. And obviously, you are heavily involved in East. How have you been seeing this particular season of NBL 1?
Like I do the commentating for the COE for the men and the women.
Yeah.
But I am, just through everything and my interest in basketball, I mainly focus on the women's game and the women's side of things. And it's been, there's a lot of talent in the East. I remember when the whole NBL 1 thing first happened, and we pretty much all kind of agreed that the NBL 1 East was not a strong competition when it started.
Yeah.
But I'd challenge any other comp out there, even South. I think the top, 4 to 6 teams across all of the various NBL 1 regional areas are all going to be on par. And, we're stoked. We're going to have the NBL 1 finals here in Canberra this year. And, very, very excited. All those teams in the top end of the East in particular, Newcastle, Manly, Norths, where Renee is. The Albury-Wodonga team have been great. Sammy Mack's doing great work down there. And you can't kind of go past the return of Lauren Nicholson as well.
Oh,
my baby now. I'm just going to roll out and knock down 51.
Yeah,
51 points.
Well, she knocked down some big numbers on her first game back as well.
I'm a mother now, and I'm putting up the biggest games that I've ever played.
Yeah.
So that's quietly terrifying for the rest of the WNBL. But Loz has seemed to have developed some superpowers now that she's a mum.
Yeah.
And it's been really exciting just seeing that really tight tussle to, only really a couple of games between the top, 1 and 4, and even that lower down where the Canberra Nationals, because I work with the Canberra Nationals.
Yeah.
There was between 7th and I think 11th. There's really only one game in it. So it's been really exciting. It's legitimately a tough league, and you never really know what you're going to get each week.
Yeah, it's I'm really curious to see how the finals are gonna shape up with those teams towards the bottom end of the ladder and the standings. Been interesting like you said, it's been interesting watching the NBL one develop over, particularly East over the last few years and the way it's come on tap. It's become a strong league, a destination conference for the NBL one. It just on the basis of the talent that you're seeing. I'm curious to see how it's going to play out over the next couple of seasons, particularly, we're going to be seeing more players trying to impress at the NBL 1 level to try to get themselves that WNBL slot.
Yep.
And as you've also said, the WNBL is looking to expand, and because they're looking to expand, you're going to see more slots available for players. And also, hopefully, with a more commercial approach to the league, that you'll be able to, the players will be able to get more of an opportunity to get into other teams. Because at the moment, there's still a lot of players who are kind of knocking on the door, and it's not that nobody wants to bring them in. It's just there's just no room.
Yeah.
And typically, unless it's somebody retires or they head over to Europe for a season or two.
Yep. It's a nice problem to have.
Yeah.
But it is starting to become an issue. And, I think we're seeing it in the WNBA as well, where the amount of teams they've got really isn't enough. You look at early in the WNBA season, you saw the lists of players being waived and just going, oh my God, how did that player get waived? How's this player getting waived? Oh my God. So it's pretty tight there as well. And I think the WNBL's in that exact position. So it's all good. It's very exciting.
It is. It really is a nice problem to have. I kind of wonder also how we're tracking with a lot of the changes that people are talking about with the WNBL. The WNBL has got the potential to grow in so many different ways under the new ownership. I kind of think that with that growth and with the commercial potential that they've got, that there's real opportunities for players to be able to not only get playing time, but also to get an opportunity to get the remuneration for the players up, because you're going to have more sponsors starting to watch the league as it becomes more professional and more commercial with the new ownership. So I suppose where I'm trying to get to with this is, how do you, because you spend a lot of time, working with teams in Canberra with Caps, how have you seen things start to evolve at the WNBL level, and how do the Caps look at opportunities with NBL 1 players to be able to come into the roster as well?
I know from a couple of, just conversations with various people, there's a big desire for the Capitals to become more involved with the Nationals. I mean, the Nationals, for a while, they were called the Capitals Academy, and there was that real sense of this is a pathway into the Caps. And but I think they're looking to, my reading of it is that that'll become a bit more formalised as things go on. I mean, like the rest of the league, I'm sure the Capitals are upping the ante with regard to resources. And, we saw the announcement the other day, Natty Hurst coming on as a full-time assistant coach, where she will be the assistant coach during the WNBL season, but then she will work heavily on community basketball and possibly be that liaison with the NBL 1 team and be involved there. And Nat has coached that NBL 1 Canberra team in the past as well. Not that, I don't think anyone's getting rid of anyone yet or anything, but I don't think it's that kind of plan.
Yeah.
I think it's more of they really want there to be a serious tie between the two programs. And I'd be surprised if that's not happening across the board with some other clubs as well. But, it's exciting. I'm hearing, little whispers. It's been interesting because the league have been, the new website's great. The new media stuff is great. They're pumping out all the new signings really fast, immediately updating the roster tracker, which is something we've all complained about for years.
Oh, yeah.
But, I think it's it's going to be exciting. I'm just, there's a lot of talk about sponsorship levels and some fairly big sponsors looking to come on board for the new season. I understand there's a new TV deal in the pipeline. I haven't heard any details yet, but the people that I've talked to are very excited. So I can only assume it's a step up from what we've had in the last couple of seasons. So it's really, really, it's an exciting time to be a women's basketball fan in Australia.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The game's going from strength to strength, and as you've said, the changes that have been happening at the league level are really impressive.
Yep.
Just before we continue on talking about that, well, the other thing that I was going to say, just in regards to Natty Hurst coming back to, the Caps as an assistant, is she's also bringing a level of experience from her work with the Tall Ferns as well.
Yeah. We didn't talk about that with the Asia Cup. The fantastic result for them. Yeah, they finished fifth, and I know Natty was aiming for the top 4 so that they could use that immediate trip through, but she's kind of been a bit circumspect about it. And gone, well, it's another opportunity to get the girls together, and they'll have to play in another qualifying sort of stage to get to Berlin. But I know she was really, really happy with the tournament result, really happy with the group where they're positioned, and it was super exciting to see an old friend of ours in Beck Pizzi having a great tournament as well. That was very cool. So, things are very exciting, and the future's very bright for Natty Hurst as well.
Absolutely. And, we were talking about the free agency and the roster tracker, which has been great because it has been kept up to date. There's been some interesting changes, and I think one of the ones I want to, before we get into the roster itself, we've got to go back and touch on something we talked about the last time we were live, and that is Adelaide.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They're back.
They are back.
And it's great news that they're back.
Very exciting. Yeah. Yep. Don't know too much of the detail about who's in charge, who the owners are. I'd heard the league sort of has a stake in it.
I believe that the league has a stake in it, if not, having controlling interest. They've got Bernie Dodd, who we've had on the pod, and who's also from the Melbourne
part of the Boomers, wasn't he?
Boomers, yeah. She was. Yep. She's involved at a senior level with the team. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for Adelaide to be able to have a team to get behind, because when we were down there for the Trans-Tasman Throwdown, it's in some respects it reminded me a bit of Canberra. In relation to the passion that the fans have for the Lightning.
That's good.
So it's great. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they go. And there's some interesting names associated with the Lightning now.
Yeah, they've lost some big pieces in Borlase and Bourne.
Yep.
But picking up Dallas Luffridge, that's huge.
Yeah, and from New Zealand, Sian Rabati.
Yeah, she is great.
Yeah, and Ella Tafayano.
Yep, Toffee's gone down there, and their import, Sania Fegan.
Yeah,
he's with the Sparks at the moment. Haven't seen a lot of her, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. WNBA is a bit funny sometimes. We've seen plenty of bench players from the WNBA come out here and dominate. So she looks like she'll be an exciting addition as well.
Yeah,
but it's also been able to keep some of that core and Steph Talbot sticking around, which is great for them.
Yeah, and talking about imports who are kind of like, in effect, almost relaunched their career. By coming down to the WNBL.
Yep.
One of the names that comes to mind is Sophie Cunningham.
Yeah. You think Sophie Cunningham, you think Britt Sykes.
Yep.
Kia Nurse.
Yeah.
They were able to really use their time in the WNBL to work on their games, take their whole game to a next level, which, to be honest, if you're on certain WNBA teams, you don't get a lot of minutes if you're down the roster. So
yeah,
and I think it's as we've seen from some of the other signings that are coming over, this season. It's a great opportunity for some of those fringe starting 5 players or, players down the roster to come over here, really show what they've got and go back to the States and move on to bigger and better things. And we saw Britt Sykes, on a slight technicality, get through to the WNBA All-Star game.
Yeah,
which was really exciting. But regardless of that, her game's just gone to the next level in the last year or so. So it's I think there's a lot more connection now between the two leagues in that respect as well.
Oh, for sure. And it was interesting to see that. And I'll just quickly sort of run through this. Apart from some of the roster shifts, one of the ones that surprised me is Sammy Whitcomb's not going to be with Bendigo.
No, she's going to do Europe, apparently.
Yeah.
Yep. Take the money and run, baby.
Yeah. And there's been some rebranding going on.
Yeah, I noticed that today. I mean, Bendigo have got the new little logo.
Yep.
And I noticed today the Flyers have a new logo.
Yes.
And, of course, there's the Geelong situation. Well, they got a new name.
Yep. The Venom.
The Venom. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, I get what they're trying to do. It's like, that more, so that more aggressive, that more, watch out for us feel.
I mean, it'll become part of the league. Remember when they announced the Tasmanian Jack Jumpers? And everyone went, what the hell is that? And now it's just, Jackies, Jack Jumpers.
Yeah, I mean,
it becomes part of the environment, and you just pick it up. But
you've named your team after an ant.
Yeah, I know. It's like basketball. What's the biggest, tallest creature we can think of? An angry ant.
Yeah, and Southside's making it. I've got to admit, it's interesting because having travelled down to Melbourne a few times to watch basketball, there was always there's Melbourne and then there's Southside, and the never the twain shall meet, right? And Southside's made a play now to say, hey, we're your team, Melbourne.
Yep.
Right. So basically, they've claimed the city for themselves.
I don't think it'll be too long before there's another team in Melbourne.
Yeah,
it is the birth of basketball in Australia. It's the homeland of basketball in Australia, and certainly reading some comments and talking to a few people, there's a lot of things going on behind the scene to get another Melbourne team back. So
for sure,
we'll wait and see how that goes in the expansion as well. But
again, they've had some interesting pickups, but I mean the one that I think probably surprised a lot of people is Kayla George leaving Sydney, going to Southside. Yeah.
I mean, again, you don't know what's going on in the behind the curtains, what's happening in people's personal lives, or maybe Sydney just wasn't a fit. I'd struggle to live in Sydney. I know you do, but
you're right. Okay, we can talk about it. We can wrestle about that one offline.
Just hard work, doing everything, going to the shop, going across town, doing everything.
Yeah, but hang on a minute. We do not have the number of roundabouts that you guys have, which are confusing as all get out.
No, they're easy once you get used to it. But, I can literally go from the furthest reaches of Canberra from one end to the other in 45 minutes. And you certainly couldn't do that in parts of Sydney. But you never know why people change locations. But particularly a player like Kayla's got a family, so there are family implications in going on there. What her partner's doing, you never really know. But a great pickup for the Flyers, but also the Geelong additions have been interesting with Mackenzie Clinch-Hoycard heading over there, and the rest of it is all pretty much intact and the same from last season, of course, with the addition of Shyla Hill.
Yes, I think that was.
But now Shyla's done a knee.
Yeah.
Do you know any more detail?
I haven't heard anything. Don't really know where that one sits.
Just a cryptic social media post of a knee all in a bloody some sort of apparatus going, well, I guess I'll have a bit of a extra holiday. So yeah, no one really knows what's going on there, and they lost Keely Froling as well. So it's almost like a K-Frols Kayla swap.
Yeah, it is. And, I think there's so much you could talk about all the other teams, but gotta say the Caps are looking pretty dangerous this season. It's a hell of a roster you've been building up down there, including, I think, somebody who really surprised everybody last season with her performances is a Brancatisano.
Yeah, yep, definitely. It's Gori has done an amazing job. That's a very exciting group, and there's one extra to come, which is exciting too. I can't tell you today, but it's. I was talking with some people today, and it's definitely happening, and it's going to be exciting. Really, really cool extra pickup. So, yeah, the Caps have. I mean, it's, as everyone knows, it's been a lean couple of years for the Caps since winning back to back. And then COVID and the drama that we went through there. And we really did have a changing of the guard, losing Kelsey Griffin and Kelly Wilson and Tolo. And, it really was a rebuilding phase. And we certainly had our growing pains. But we're feeling pretty chuffed and pretty excited about this new group.
Yep. And, you got the AIS Arena back last season as well. So the various pieces are all starting to fall into place.
Yeah, it's feeling like home again.
Yeah. Okay, look, we're getting down to the back end of this, but one of the things I want to sort of touch on just quickly is, there's been a lot happening, particularly over the last week with the WNBA.
Yeah.
Right. The All-Star game, was running one. And there was a lot of, I suppose, look, it's not unfair to say there was a lot of controversy about, the shirts the players were wearing.
Yep.
Now, straight up, but both you and I are fully behind the concept of these players, not only WNBA, but also WNBL, getting paid better for what they do.
Absolutely.
Because they deserve it. There's just no two ways about it. But I suppose one of the things that really surprised me was the way people reacted to the players coming out in those shirts. It's like it's a very fair request, right? I mean, I'm guessing people. Look, there's always the ones who are just like, until the league makes a profit, you guys, blah, blah, blah. And it's, and I've talked about that till I'm blue in the face. And I think that's a rubbish approach to it for a whole bunch of reasons. And if anybody's interested, it's in previous pods, feel free. I think, because the players are being so blunt about what, their position, that it got under people's noses. But, sometimes that's what you have to do to get the attention on the discussion that you want.
Yep. No, definitely. Look, I think I'm a pretty political person. People often say, why do you bring politics into it? And it's like, really, the world is politics. It's certainly with a lot of the issues in the world. And America at the moment is, I've got a vested interest in there. My brother lives over there. I've got a lot of friends that work over there, that play over there. America in general, I think you've got to look at the WNBA stuff through the lens of the USA.
Yeah.
And it's at such a point socially, politically, where everything is at a conflict point.
Yep.
And there is, it's also a nation that it's effectively a full-blown oligarchy at the moment.
Yes.
All of these clubs are owned by billionaires, people with ridiculous amounts of money, who historically in that society, workers do not get treated well.
Yep.
Women do not get treated well.
Yep.
Minorities don't get treated well. Gay people don't get treated well. There's a lot of easy targets. I'm trying to trying to be offensive about it. There are a lot of easy targets in the WNBA.
Yep.
And I think it's just, people shooting fish in a barrel. it's really easy to go, blah, blah, look at them coming out with those T-shirts, blah, 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 without truly knowing anything about the situation. And my understanding of the situation is money is not the big issue. Obviously, they want an increase in their wages, like any worker does. If things are going better for the boss, then you'd like to get a little cut of that action. And certainly things, you look at crowd numbers and eyes on the game and ticket sales and things. It's launched massively in the last 2 years. But my understanding, it's more around the freedom for WNBA players to have the opportunity to play elsewhere, and that the league is kind of coming from no, you're a WNBA player. You can't play in our league if you're going to play in Europe and you're going to come in late to training camp and things like that. That seems to be a bit of a sticking point. And I've only got this from talking to a couple of people that are over there. I don't know any detail, but it seems it's more about that. But it's everything there is just so volatile at the moment, and I think it's I'm hoping that cooler heads prevail and we don't head into what next year could be a lockout, and in a year where there's a World Cup.
Well, yeah, and yes, like that rule about you've got to be there for day one of training camp, is problematic. And I understand that. I get the position that the WNBA have, which is, listen, we are the WNBA. We need you to be here.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got to start asking the question. It's like if you want the best talent to be there, and and I'm probably going to offend somebody by saying this, you're handing out hardship contracts like candy at a kid's party.
Yeah.
Really, are you gonna? Is that the hill that you're willing to die on? Because I don't think it's the case. And I know that there's a lot of discussion about the money and the broadcast deal and everything else, and it all, as you've said, I think because of the politics around the situation, everything gets kind of thrown together in one giant dumpster bin of opinion, and then all that's happening is people are arguing at cross purposes, So,
and a lot of the time, it's for the sake of arguing. It's not even, if you pressure some of these online keyboard warriors and stuff, they really don't know any of the facts. And it just dissolves. It's just so super disappointing. You see it dissolve into questions around race and white versus black girls, and there's even I've seen stuff on there even about videos on YouTube and stuff about are straight girls better than gay girls in the WNBA, and you're just going, it's basketball.
Yeah.
It should not be about any of this stuff. And I think, because it's a very right-wing situation over there at the moment. The WNBA has traditionally been very left-wing, very progressive, very forward-thinking. And I think a lot of it is just it's an easy target for rednecks. And, it's ugly. And I just hate to see it.
And I think, those T-shirts, which, look, again, those T-shirts have been designed to get a point across. Right? And that's fine. And what I think it does is, for some corners of the internet, it's just like throwing red meat into the piranha pond.
Yeah. But it's that kind of, I guess, social society that we live in now where you have to take a risk and stand up and almost say something outrageous for people to actually pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at the way people just constantly amp up the opinion, you have to become even
at the moment.
Yeah, you have to become even more outrageous to get noticed.
Yep.
Which then creates everything else.
Yep.
But it's something that I think we need to keep an eye on, because I think there's a lot more that's going to come from this, and like you said, I hope it doesn't happen, but there's always that potential for a lockout.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting if this stuff doesn't get resolved, and then we're able to through our CBA start paying players more
Yep.
as the new WNBL grows, I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot more US players come and play down here.
Yeah, and on top of that, you've also got, how's that also going to play into the Unrivaled League?
Yeah. Unrivaled's interesting because, I mean, I kind of look at that like I look at 3-on-3. It's not true basketball. Which doesn't mean it's not good or it's, there's nothing wrong with it. But I think I've read a lot about how they're going, the Unrivaled was so successful. This is what should be happening. And I worry, was it really successful because it's brand new and lots of people put money into it, lots of people got behind it and stuff, but after 2 or 3 seasons, is it still going to have that energy behind it?
Be interesting to see. It will.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about it till we're blue in the face. The girls deserve to make a living out of playing and not have to travel and play 12 months of the year. Because it just destroys their bodies. Any athlete that's performing 12 months of the year, we've seen it a lot with the men's cricket. The amount of cricket that's played is just ridiculous now, and people are just dropping like flies with injuries all the time. And we don't want to see our women get to that too. We want them to be able to make a good wage. It's just there's just that part of, I'm just being a lefty here, but the whole capitalism thing of there's too much. You look at the NBA, it's obscene. Just too much money.
Well, you know what? This will be an interesting conversation for another time because it would be, hopefully more information will come out about what's happening with the WNBA and all their finances. Because also we got to keep in mind that there are people listening from kind of like all around the world at the moment.
Yep.
And we want to say thanks to everyone for listening, but we also want to say that next 3x3 game for the Gangurrus is coming up against the Philippines.
Woohoo.
It's really close. Like, it's only a few minutes away. So, thanks for listening into us. Always having these conversations is great. And for all of you listening, don't miss the Gangurrus next game, and thanks.
Thanks for joining us.
Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you get our latest pod. And we really appreciate if we could get a like and a review so we can extend the reach to more listeners. And don't forget, follow us on Instagram, Twitter and LinkedIn.